your shoes. Where'd you get those?
Shoes.
Did Jackie make those for you? Hey, do you think she'd teach us how to make some?
What do you think?
Yeah, let's go see.
Okay, let's go. Come on.
Hi, Jackie again, Maker Days at 5 Little Monkeys. We get a lot of requests about my shoes. This is the first pair I made 3-4 years ago. Angie had actually shipped me some fabric at home, and I got a pair of Vans sneakers, and I laid them on the couch, went out to the kitchen. When I came back, this picture popped into my head, and that's what the picture was. And so I've been making pairs over the years just because they're fun. I really like them. I get a lot of compliments, and I even have people stop me on the street and in the airport for pictures. Now, this particular shoe, I have it prepped. I've used the Audi coat. It's kind of a waterproofing material. It's not really a glue, but it can help with that. And I put a nice thick coat on it. I let it dry. I put another coat. I happen to have a shoe stretcher in mine because I'm kind of between a regular and a wide, and the cotton will shrink a little bit. If you're concerned, a half size bigger is good. So now that this is sealed, I could technically take this out, but I've just left it in until I'm finished. I really like this product. It's new. It's by Audi Coat. It's Audi Shine. Comes in about 12 colors. This happens to be clear with just iridescent sparkles. I take a paintbrush, usually a little bit smaller one, and this stuff is really thick. It comes with a little thing that looks like a circle but a credit card, and you're supposed to take and kind of scrape it across. I just find I can't get the coverage or the way I want it to cover, and you can see it's thick. It kind of reminds me of cottage cheese. So what I do is I go like, see, it kind of gets clumpier, but then I go like this with my paintbrush all around to make it the consistency or the shine that I want. Now, once you're done applying this, you can just throw that in the water too. It washes out with just soap and water or plain water. Then we have to let it dry for an hour. Once it's dried for an hour, they ask you to take parchment paper, and I happen to buy squares of parchment paper. You go ahead, put it in here, and then you take your iron and you run the iron across it. Just hold it there, move it again and hold it. Not a ton, no steam. Then when you open it up and it cools, it's now sealed. And
nice.
And it doesn't take long. You just have to wait that 1 hour for the initial to dry. So then we take, this is 909 permanent glue. Stuff is like concrete once you get it on. When I made the first pair, I didn't have this glue. You can see the cracks in it a little bit, but again, they're 3 and 4 years old. So for the bigger areas, I'll put the glue like this. And I use the silicone mat so that we don't get stuff all over everything.
And if you do, it wipes out.
Comes right off.
Okay, so you pretty liberally applied that
Yep.
there.
Pretty much. Because we want it to stay down when we put it down. And on these shoes, they happen to have this little piping that comes up. So on the back, when I put the piece on the back, the fabric, it can go over and fold under, and then I can also put this underneath the edges as well. So you don't see a lot of that. Now I left the raw edge from the, I don't know, what do you call that? The bias? Salvage. I left that raw edge on there because I wanted that look. And so we won't see the full tabby road, but we'll get the idea there. And then I use the super sharp
Karen K. Buckley
scissors. Here's my stiletto. And I'll take the stiletto and kind of push that under there. Ooh. So not only does it, then I pull it back out, and then I trim along that line.
Doesn't have to be 100% precise there, right?
No, because most of the time, like I said, see how it'll, you just slide that up a little, move it over. It will go ahead and go down in here. And then you will see that we're going to add something else on there that will also cover that and take care of it. And these scissors, they're so sharp and pointy that it's super easy to trim along the lines. And anytime you cut your fabric a little too short, there's always a fix. I haven't found yet where it doesn't work out. And so the stiletto goes under here. It holds that. There we go. So we've got that under there. And we've got now, I took some chenille, which you can also buy at Five Little Monkeys. And chenille, some of us might remember the bathrobes, the bed covers that had the puffy little, well, that's what this is. It's by the yard, and you can actually, she's got it in 2 or 3 widths, and you can layer it even to make it more. So I folded this in half and ironed it, and I'm gonna take and make maybe, oh, there we go. Make a little bitty line of glue across here. And it doesn't matter if it gets a little bit off, like it's not exactly straight. You just want to kind of have a nice little line of it. What I'll do with that, because it's the cats, the Tabby Row Deja Vu, I thought we needed a little cat fur.
Meow.
So if you put this along here, it just catches the edge. Just catches the edge. Then I trim it off. And I'll do that on, there'll be some fabric on the other side, but we're just putting on this little trim. And then we can let that dry. And then when it's dry, 20 minutes or so, I'll snip it a little bit, and then I have one shoe done. And the shoes are never the same. They're always different. Here's where it's the little pink cat fur. This is what I've done with that.
Absolutely.
And then part of a cat collar here.
Amazing.
And then over here we've got a little cat fur. As we're letting this dry, and I did on here, all I did was once it was dry, I snipped it a little, and then I took my fingernail and just went back and forth. And it is supposed to, it'll flake off and look really dusty, but then it stays behind. It gives that furry kind of look. Yeah. So I always put a big glump of glue in the front. This is where the shoe, it hits stuff.
And this is that 909
909
glue
permanent glue.
That one again.
Yes. There is a few specialty brushes I use for this as well. If you look at this one, it's got an edge on it like that. Angled. And the reason that it's tapered is because of this little, so I get enough glue right back there in that little side so that the fabric sticks in there. And I know it seems like a lot of glue, but I want the glue to come through the fabric a little bit. There's so many things. Yeah, see, we're just lifting it up a little bit, putting it just exactly, let me feel, okay, right down to here. And you just smooth it all out. Smooth it out.
So you can reposition it pretty well.
Until it sets, and then and with the stiletto, sometimes I'll have little places and you can go like this and you can make it straighten out, get that wrinkle out of there. The other reason I use the stiletto is I go along the edge. And as I go along this edge like this, it also gives me a really, this will peel off of the rubber easily. That gives me the line and the glues there. When I first made these, I used a scalpel to cut the edges of the fabric to get it just right, but you have to be so careful because it does cut into the shoe. So all the mistakes I made with these, as I've made the next pair and the next pair, I figured out what I could do, what could I do differently, what else could I use, that kind of thing. So then these scissors are so sharp, you can just come right along the edge. You just lift the fabric up a little bit. Do it slowly because you don't want to cut it too short where then it doesn't match up. It's easier to trim a little more off than to cut a chunk out. And then you just come back and you push it down against the shoe, and you've got a nice clean line then. And you can see where then you've got the edging or piping. No, I can't. What is that? It's like on your quilts. Bias. Yeah, the binding. The binding on the shoe here. And then I can pull this back a little bit. Again, it's better if you under, leave a little behind, because again, we can take the stiletto and we can push that up underneath of this. It can go right under there, and it hides that little bit of extra fabric, and with the glue, it makes it more secure and hold on better. So after I finished trimming down the edges, I went ahead and put on another coat of Audi coat to help seal it and to make sure that we got it as fine as we could around the edges. Now, I'm not specific. I like that little bit of frayed edge there so that it looks a little distressed. I don't want it to be perfect because then it's just too much for me. Then we start decorating, and I happen to find these great little fish bones to go ahead and put on the shoes or on the little cans. And then I go ahead, and these cute little fish bones are on the cans. So I found some little fish bones that I'm putting on here. And then for the pull tabs, I'm using some more of the jewels that we had.
Hot fix crystals.
Yes, and you don't have to worry about them washing off on here, and this is the battery operated one. I really like it. It just takes a few seconds for it to warm up. You just hold it with the tweezers, put it down so you don't burn yourself, and then you just hold it on there until the glue melts, and the glue is adhered to the back of each crystal. And it is a generous amount of glue, even though it doesn't look like it, and they do hold really well and for a long time. So far, to be honest, I haven't had any of them come off. Now on the side here, this is dry, so we can kind of come back and go ahead and just clip this a little bit, because I want it to fray quite a bit, and it's not going to be washed. Usually when you're doing the chenille, it gets washed in a quilt project, and it causes it to fray more. So then I just literally take my fingernail and go like this, and it does cause some fabric dust. And also you can take the tweezers and, pull it out some more. You can use the stiletto to get more off. And now that I've got it where it's kind of fray and fuzzy looking, I'm going to take a tad bit more glue. I just mostly wanted the center to stay down, and I'll put just every so often. I grabbed it, and then I just put a couple more dots down like this, and then push this up, because I want that to be up a little more, and then it will still, and then I'll scrape it again, and it'll look more like that. So it's just a little bit of a process. In the very end, I put this on. It's for model cars, like playing with models, and it's what causes the super iridescent shine on there.